Weagree SharePoint integration makes sure that all contracts, negotiation versions and contract-related files are stored in the right place. In this video, I'll explain you how. Transaction management, so the handling of contract versions and contract-related files, has two aspects. Who may determine the right storage location? How to keep it consistent, robust, yet intuitive. Who has the freedom to modify an admin-determined storage location? Weagree is enterprise grade, so granting the flexibility and freedom to store or access contracts and all contract-related files can be fully configured through Weagree's user management. Weagree is roles and authorization based. One user may and the other may not do what you want. In all cases and for all user roles and profiles, you can distinguish between the SharePoint site where contracts are to be stored and the folder path on such site. Either or both can be left to the end user for modification. For both, determining the SharePoint site and defining the folder path, I will discuss how it works. This is achieved by a hierarchy of who may do what. For each Weagree template, a default SharePoint site can be configured. If the end user is not authorized, then the contract and all related files will be stored on the default SharePoint site as configured by the administrator for that template. If authorized, end users may determine or modify a SharePoint site, and if they did not determine the applicable SharePoint site, the admin-defined default will apply. Authorizations can be configured in Weagree's user management. Simply enable or disable this for the end users with the particular user profile or user role. Second, if the admin did not configure a SharePoint site or folder path for the template, the general configuration settings for your entire Weagree portal will apply. This could be handy if anyhow all contracts are to be stored on the same SharePoint site using a universal folder naming structure for all. For example, think of corporate parent guarantees, powers of attorney, NDAs or data processing agreements. So in all cases, Weagree provides fallback settings that apply for less careful end users. It is also possible that the SharePoint site be set through an API integration, an API connection. For example, contracts can be initiated from within Salesforce or Microsoft Dynamics CRM. Along with initiating the contract outside Weagree and pushing contract metadata from Salesforce or Dynamics, also the applicable SharePoint site can be set. And then the admin-defined default site is overruled by the site determined in Salesforce or Dynamics and can only be corrected by an authorized end user. If for any reason Weagree cannot export a contract file to SharePoint, it will clearly mark that contract entry in the overviews. Reason could be that the end user was not yet authorized to access the relevant SharePoint site. Determining the folder path structure. A user's freedom to define the folder in which contract files must be stored works the same way. And either right, so determining the SharePoint site or determining the subfolder, can be granted separately. And a few additional remarks. The admin can simply create a folder path and subfolders or determine the default storage folder path on the basis of abstract parameters. These parameters can also be nested, so subfolder in subfolder in subfolder, etc. And it includes the other party short name, the other party full name, own party short name, own legal entity's full name, the incorporation country of either of them, the template name, the CLM contract sheets on the basis of which you want to manage those contracts later on, the contract title, the contract owner, contract number, the year of contracting, or the year plus month of contracting, etc. Parameters can also be a Q&A metadata, so a type of dimension that is actually chosen in the questionnaire for creating the contract. And the authorized end user who wants to change the default folder path would click through the existing folder path structure of the selected SharePoint site. They can also create folders if that's necessary for them. And it works the way you would navigate subfolders in Windows Explorer. So the end user will not be burdened with abstract parameters, but with the actual folders on a site only. In large transactions with multiple contracts, multiple types of agreements, all transaction or project-related files can be kept together fully automatically. Both the SharePoint site and the folder path settings would be defined on project level. And in that case, the individual contracts and files can be stored in project subfolders using the same abstract parameters. And yet, deviation per contract within that project or within the transaction remains possible. Like with an API configured SharePoint site, an API initiated contract can also set the folder path required for the externally initiated contract. Thank you.